Today on Cryptic Mass Guitar, we do a comparison between the Epiphone Les Paul Special Satin E1 and the Epiphone Les Paul Custom. We're going to do 5 sound samples in this comparison. We're going to start things off by making everybody happy so you can hear the differences between the two, with clean going from bridge, middle, and then of course going to the neck. And then we'll go through some other sound samples and we'll end things off, because it's this channel, with full on metal. Now, I do have to say, when it comes to comparisons and YouTube videos, they're absolutely fantastic, because you know what? You can see the guitars in action, you can hear some of the differences, albeit with, you know, YouTube's compression and everything like that. But sound isn't everything. One of the biggest components of the whole equation here is feel and how you might bond with one of these guitars. So don't just go and blindly buy one of these guitars without trying them out for yourself. The bond that you have with a guitar is way more important than sound. right, so there you go. There are the 5 sound samples in the comparison between the Epiphone Les Paul Satin Special E1, well, it's Special Satin E1, and the Epiphone Les Paul Custom. So we go from the most affordable Epiphone Les Paul with humbuckers to, well, not the most expensive, not by a long shot, but the Epiphone Les Paul Custom. So I do want to go over some of the similarities and differences spec-wise, and then I'll kind of look at each guitar in my lap and give you a little bit of information. So we're comparing a kind of regular Les Paul to a Les Paul Special. Now, what do I mean by that? The Les Paul Special is actually just the slab of the body itself without the maple cap. So what you'll notice, it's hard to show this here because you can't really see the maple top, but it's basically like half of a Les Paul. So with Les Pauls, you have like the slab of mahogany, and then you have a maple top on top of it that's carved. The Specials, even though this is a slab of poplar rather than mahogany, they're basically the slab itself without the top on it. So as I stated, this is a poplar body here. The Custom is a mahogany body with a maple top on it. The Special E1 does not have any binding whatsoever on the body, whereas the Les Paul Custom here has binding on the front and on the back. The Special here has an Mahogany fretboard. You'll note on Epiphone's website that it says it's rosewood. What they mean is rosewood family. So if they can loosely call it rosewood, that's kind of what you get. So you could get an Mahogany fretboard, which is what this is. You could get a Laurel fretboard. I think there's an option of Granadillo that might fall in there, but you're getting rosewood family. And the Les Paul Custom here has a proper ebony fretboard, and it is also bound. We have dot inlays versus the block inlays. The Special here has a silk screened Epiphone and Les Paul Special logo, whereas the Les Paul Custom has the Epiphone logo inlaid and the, I think it's called the Diamond logo inlaid as well. Taking a look at the tuners here, the Les Paul Custom has Grover Rotomatic tuners, which are fantastic. They work very, very, very well. And on the Special Satin E1 here, we have the premium covered tuners, which, just so you know, it's inexpensive and easy to replace tuners. But these here are very flimsy. They're loose as well, even though I know you can tighten them up. That's not what I mean by loose. But a lot of the times it requires almost a quarter turn before it actually grabs the string. So you kind of have to accommodate for that when it comes to finer tuning. Next, we take a look at the pickups. The Special Satin E1 has the uncovered 700T and 650R pickups, which are rather hollow. That doesn't mean that you can't make them work. You can definitely dial that in on an amp, but when it comes to going from one guitar to the next, if you have a specific tone, you will have to adjust your amp settings. The Les Paul Custom here has fantastic pickups. You have the ProBucker 3 in the bridge and the ProBucker 2 in the neck. They're very accurate, a little bit on the vintage side rather than how, you know, these are a little hot. But I think they're just very well-rounded pickups. As far as the bridge here, both of them have the Epiphone lock tone tunematic with the stop bar. However, they have to be different because each Special Satin E1 that I've tried, the moment that you adjust intonation, the whole thing starts to buzz. That definitely does not happen here on the Les Paul Custom. The Special Satin E1 also has one volume and one tone, and they use the 10-cent potentiometers, as I like to call them. They're hand soldered, and they actually work rather well, so it's not like you're going to be, you know, missing out or anything like that. They are pretty responsive. The Les Paul Custom has CTS pots that are also hand soldered, and take a look here, you have 2 volumes and 2 tones. So there's a lot of blending possibilities with volume and tone options, especially when you put it in the middle position. And of course, neither of these are weight relieved. However, this is a poplar body, so it's extremely light in comparison to the Les Paul Custom. The Special Satin E1 is very comfortable to play, especially seated. It is a little on the top heavy side. That would be because it has a poplar body, and I forgot to mention this, it has a bolt-on maple neck. It's not an intrusive bolt-on, but you'll know that it's a bolt-on. It is definitely a Les Paul, because we do have the Les Paul shape here, so it's gonna sit very nicely on your lap, and then you got a little spot to cradle your boob. There's no real crazy issues or anything like that. The frets aren't sharp, and it's rather well leveled. Taking a look at access to the 22nd fret, the bolt-on portion, it's not like a really crazy bolt-on. Like some of them have like this big huge heel and the bolt-on's actually up here with that kind of coming out of the body. That's not the case here. It's in a good position. However, it does kind of get in the way for access to the 22nd fret, although having a thinner body may or may not help you get to that 22nd fret, just may require a little bit of practice. And of course, the volume and tone are in a very good position if you do like to, especially like when you're playing leads and stuff like that, if you do like to adjust your tone and your volume on the fly. Again, playing leads, that's really when you're gonna do it. You can actually do it really well with your pinky. And the three-way toggle switch is in a pretty good position as well. It's not really hard to, you know, kind of while you're playing, flick it up and down. The Les Paul Custom is definitely a little heavier on your lap. So you'll definitely notice that with a strap, but it's very well balanced. I mean, it will move a little bit, but I think that's just because it's kind of cradling itself onto my body. It's not top heavy, very well balanced again. We don't have any sharp fret edges or anything like that. Everything seems to be very smooth. The fret leveling is very good. However, one thing I have kind of noted from the 12th fret to the 22nd fret, this could just be in my mind here, but it just seems that like when you're looking at the frets themselves, they always have a slight crown to them, that the radius, of course. From the 12th fret to the 22nd fret, it seems to be a little off. It doesn't really affect playability, but it's something I just keep drawing my eyes to, and it just seems to be, you know, throwing me off a little. And of course, as I forgot to note earlier, set mahogany neck. Access to the 22nd fret is rather easy to do. I find it's a little easier because it's definitely a thicker body, but you may find it a little different. Of course, it may require a little bit of practice. As far as the positioning for the volume and the tone potentiometers here, it really depends if you've played Les Pauls for a while. It doesn't have that, like you're not getting that with the pinky really easily if you're gonna be adjusting for leads, especially the tone. But the three-way toggle switch here is rather easy and very fun to do, to flick up and down while you're playing. One last thing I'd like to note here with the Les Paul Custom, and I'm assuming it's only this Les Paul Custom here, but the volume potentiometer for the neck only goes halfway. If I bring it down to 0, you still hear it. So I'm not sure what is going on with that. It could just be a faulty potentiometer. It could be something else, but I'm not sure. But that is the comparison between the Epiphone Special Satin E1 and the Epiphone Les Paul Custom. It may not be that you're, you know, looking to buy one of these guitars over the other. It could just be more than likely you own this one and you kind of want to know what the Les Paul Custom is about. So that's maybe why you're watching this video. But as always, don't just use YouTube videos as a decision as to why to buy a guitar. Use it for a little bit of excitement, a little bit of a different perspective, but man, you really need to play these guitars and just see which one works for you best. Thanks for watching.